Welcome to Confessions of a Godly Wife. I'm Eunice, your host and your spiritual midwife coach, and I help women find joy in the midst of a broken marriage. On today's confession, I'm going to talk about being a warrior wife. Confession number 2. I am a warrior wife. When I was growing up, my favorite superhero was Wonder Woman. I love me some Wonder Woman, and I still do to this day. To me, she represented so much strength and integrity. She was compassionate, and she always had the desire to see justice prevail. She would fight the bad guys with her lasso of truth and those bulletproof bracelets. But her goal was always to serve and to protect others. Does that sound familiar to you? See, I know God has called me to be a warrior wife. And if you are standing for the restoration of your marriage, you are a warrior wife too. So the first thing I want to do is look at the definition of a warrior. The Cambridge Dictionary says that a warrior is a soldier, usually one who has both experience and skill in fighting. A person who is very brave and fights or competes hard. Now, you may hear that definition and you're saying to yourself, well, I don't feel brave. I don't feel like I have skill in fighting. And I'm definitely weary from fighting. And I get it. I get it. I think it was last year for Mother's Day, I went to my son's church. And during the service, throughout the congregation, young men would get up and they would talk to the congregation about their mom, what they loved about their mom, how much they appreciated their mom, what their mom had done for them in their life. And to my surprise, my son got up, he took the microphone and he started talking to the church about me. It was such a special moment for me. Of all the things that he said, the one thing I will never forget is my son said that I was resilient. He said that he had seen me go through so many things in my life and that I was one of the strongest people he ever knew. And honestly, I had never seen myself that way. But I was so grateful to know that my son saw me in that light. So you may not see yourself as a warrior, but I guarantee you that you have the qualities of one. So I want to talk about 3 characteristics of a warrior wife. The first characteristic is resilience. Now, what is resilience? In simple terms, that is the ability to bounce back after something bad has happened. So if you are a wife, especially a wife who's standing for the restoration of her marriage, chances are you've experienced a great deal of problems, a great deal of heartache, betrayal, pain, rejection. The Bible tells us in 2 Corinthians 4:8-9 and the New International Reader's Version, we are pushed hard from all sides. We are not beaten down. We are bewildered, but that doesn't make us lose hope. Others make us suffer, but God does not desert us. We are knocked down, but we are not knocked out. A warrior wife doesn't just bounce back, she also presses forward when everything that is in her and everything that is around her tells her to just give up and to retreat. Now, the second characteristic of a warrior wife is that she is relentless. She absolutely refuses to give up on God's promises or her divine assignment because her love for God, her love for her husband, the love that she has for her family and her kingdom assignment enable her to continue fighting no matter what. I know that one of the greatest struggles in our stand is the feeling of delay. But wives, I want to remind you that waiting isn't wasted. It's where warriors are formed. And every time that you move in faith, every time that you pray, every time that you confess, each time that you cry, it becomes a weapon in your spiritual arsenal. I was listening to a message this morning from Apostle Idella, and she reminded us that the Bible says that after you have done all, to stand. Now, see, we show up even when it hurts. We show up when we feel unseen, and we do not quit when the promise feels delayed. We never abandon our assignment. Why? Because a warrior wife knows that the battle goes to the last person standing. Relentless, it doesn't mean to be loud, but it means to be lasting. A relentless wife doesn't just fight for her marriage, she fights for her faith, her identity, and her calling. Which leads me to the third characteristic of a warrior wife. A warrior wife is rooted. She's rooted in her faith, in her identity, and in her calling. These are the foundations, and these foundations are eternal. Because we don't just have faith in God's promises, we build our life on these promises. We know who we are. We are a daughter of the King, and we are not defined by our husband's choices. We're not defined by our past, and we certainly are not defined by our pain. Our worth isn't up for negotiation. See, we walk in spiritual authority, not insecurity. A warrior wife, her identity fuels her resilience because she's not fighting for validation. She's fighting from victory. Listen, ladies, we are not just surviving marriage. We are stewarding a divine assignment. So whether you are standing for restoration, whether you are raising your children, or you are interceding in silence, know that your role is sacred. As a warrior wife, your calling gives you clarity. You're not just a wife, but you are a warrior with purpose. Thank you so much for joining me on Confessions of a Godly Wife. If you're a woman today who's walking through a tough season, or perhaps you're struggling in your marriage, I want you to know that you are not alone. And I would be honored to walk alongside you and to help guide you into giving birth to what God has been growing inside of you, regardless of your marital status. If this is what you've been praying for, go to my website at euniceSherry.com and book your free consultation today. Remember, wives, confessions aren't just admissions. They're invitations, and every time we speak the truth, we make room for healing, for clarity, and for divine restoration. So keep on confessing, keep on believing, and keep on trusting that God is working even in the silence.